Oh, they're both going. Let the mayor do it.
Yeah.
Used to lead in a couple meetings here and there,
Yeah.
right?
Every now and then. Are we recording?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. Those are in your packet. They're also emailed to you.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thanks, Liza. Do we have a second?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Board Readers report?
All right, so this is my first EDA meeting, so thanks for being the first to have me. I'll go over my coordinator's report. I've just got some notes here I'll read from. So, some meetings that happened recently were the housing study presentation at Dodge County, where Maxwell presented on their latest draft, and that went out to the communities, which have since submitted their feedback, and Maxfield is currently finishing up their final draft, and we'll be able to send that out pretty soon. In the Shopco meetings, I was also unable to attend that. Ron was there in attendance, and so was Teresa with the city. So they were just meeting with the owners to discuss steps moving forward, and they have since hired a real estate agent who is helping them release the building. So community branding, the chamber is proceeding with some new logos and branding, and the hope is to present those designs to the chamber at their meeting on May 22nd. For the community roadside landscape partnership program, the $8,000 budget was approved, and the agreement is currently at MnDOT being signed, and we hope to get that back some point this month, and we can move forward with getting the landscaping started. The abatement project was approved by City Council. That's for the Prairie Willows Estates development. And I wanted to bring up the business subsidy policy. This is something the previous coordinator, Stephanie Lawson, drafted. A new policy. As far as I'm aware, discussion has not been held on this. It aligns the business subsidy policy more with the comprehensive plan, and changes are being made to the criteria section overview. You can see that in your packet. It should follow the Ben Call Apartments presentation. So perhaps moving forward, that's something we can set up a time to discuss. And then other business, Ben Call did make a presentation to City Council on Common Apartments, which is a two-phase development being proposed for the former concrete plant site just east of downtown Castle. And he's hoping for approximately 50 units in the first phase. And right now he is researching his finances so that he can figure out whether there's a gap that might need to be met in financing that project. So that is everything for my coordinator report that I'd like to bring up. So moving on to the RADI membership, I understand this was perhaps discussed at the last meeting. So where I think things are is that there needs to be some discussion on whether that's something you're interested in getting a RADI membership. I understand the cost was $2,900 for the annual fee, I believe. Any thoughts on that?
Would I be able, or just a quick question, kind of backing up, I mean, I've read a little bit on the newsletter about you, but, I don't know, do you wanna tell us about yourself a little bit?
Oh, sure, yeah. Just getting right into things. So, my name's Nicholas Willett. I grew up in Rochester. I moved there from Canada in 2003. I went to high school there, and then I went back to Canada for university. And during that time, I started getting into urban development. development, planning, economic geography, and it coincided kind of with the beginning of the DMC project in Rochester, so that was something that I could really, you know, relate my studies to that was happening back home, and so I was really eager to maybe get back and be a part of that. So I returned last year to Rochester to do an internship with the DMC EDA, that wrapped up at the end of last December, and since then I've been doing a couple consulting things, and I ended up applying for a position with CEDA, and they accepted me, and that brings me here.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
Anything on the
Yeah.
membership? The tough part is for us right now is, you know, we had our budget approved back in December. The EDA budget's pretty thin as it is for memberships, those types of things. There's really nothing in our EDA budget.
Mhm.
So
I
this year, it'd be
think-
something to keep in mind as we go into the budgeting process for 2020.
Right. Do we want to budget for that next year?
Absolutely. I don't know how everybody else feels, but that's just, when I looked at it, we didn't have anything extra in the dues or really anywhere else in the EDA budget.
Yeah, I think the only, if I remember right, the one spot we might have had room is 'cause we're, I think we had some initial budgeting in case we wanted to move forward on the logo or marketing things. But to me, it makes the most sense to plan ahead, you know, 'cause I mean, we're kinda hitting budgeting season in the next 2 months here anyways. So we probably, I mean, it's probably a good reminder anyways that we should get on budgeting, include, you know, take a look at that if we wanna include that, or to what degree we wanna include that.
Does that give you the direction you need there?
Mhm. And then, Downtown Lots Committee, I think I might need the, board to bring me up to speed perhaps. I understand the city owns 2 lots on the south side of Main Street, and you're looking at activating those perhaps,
Right.
you know, for the public.
Within the switch.
Mhm.
Yeah, so Mike and I are that committee, I think, and probably you, I think it's the
Okay.
3 of us. And you are now brought up to speed. Is that, so, that's it. We basically said, yeah, we're interested in activating those, and then, we say, yeah, let's set up a time.
Okay.
And that is it. We didn't, Mike and I think just, we didn't do anything. So, I think this is a great starting point to
Yeah.
get, you, me and Mike together, and we'll figure out how to flip the switch, I guess.
I wonder if you
Activate 'em.
could get some volunteer
Yeah.
help from the high school.
High school
or
or Lions Club would be
something.
another one, yeah.
Mhm.
You know, because you talked about, putting in an ice skating rink, or ice skating something, and I myself think, 2 steps and I'm across the rink, 2 steps and I'm back.
Yeah.
And there's a tree in the middle of it.
Great.
So.
Obstacle course. Makes it
Yes.
interesting. Great.
Not exactly
Great.
sure that it looks like, but, you know, you can maybe figure that out. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe, you know, they must have some sort of, FFA or something out of the high school that might be, interested in some volunteer time for our Main Street Park.
You know, I think,
Right now, the tree is still
Yeah.
decorated for Christmas.
That's right, we're ready.
Yeah.
For next year. But with the school, you know, something that's pretty cool over in the new edition is, they've got that, like, designer STEM area or whatever, and I believe they've got some kind of space designing, software over there. I think if there's a way to, if they have some class that would like to be
would like
involved
to
in that
use that.
next year, that would be
Yeah.
a great, cool thing to do, I think, if they're up for that.
It used to be the FFA or whatever it was, would put together things
Yeah.
for that. Or they had a gardening something or other along with
Yeah,
that.
I mean, if,
Yeah.
maybe a farmer's
Yeah.
market, if you wanted to do something this year.
Oh, sure.
Which would be simple, we have tried
Yeah.
farmer's markets on Main Street at certain,
Right. Yeah, no, it could be a good, yeah, so but I think that whatever it turns into, I think a cool starting point could be, talking with, whoever those teachers are over at the school, if we wanna involve some of the students and maybe check with some of the different clubs and whatnot.
Might even help to get the kids know where Main Street is.
Right,
Mhm.
that's right, economic geography, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
So, no, that's a great point, huh?
Now you know everything there is to know about that.
Yeah, we're in the brainstorming phase.
Yeah.
As you can tell,
Okay.
so, yeah.
Moving forward to the Casson Connections agenda, that is, this Thursday, Daniels, 9:30 in the morning. I was planning to bring up, you know, maybe some community ideas for Shopko uses, what they might like to see in that space. Maybe bring some suggestions to the next meeting with the real estate agent. And also, ideas for business activation along Highway 57 during the reconstruction. So ways to attract customers, because there won't be direct access off of 57 to some businesses on that road. So figuring out, you know, one suggestion brought up to me was like caps and dollars, where you know, throw out some $5 coupons that, you know, incentivize people to make their way over to the businesses and you know, be
So
customers.
they're not gonna be able to access on County 34 to get around to get to Main Street
Lot
And-
57,
off of 57.
yeah.
I mean, 50, that project starts on the north side or the south side of County Road
I think
34?
it includes that intersection,
Includes
just on your side of
that.
that railroad tracks. And I don't know how much infrastructure is gonna be done there, I think it's gonna be surface, so that area should be pretty quick.
Yeah.
But then again, it's a state highway project, quick is defined by what, so.
Yeah.
But the majority of, so anything south of the, or north of the railroad tracks, actually even north of, Main Street intersection is gonna be a complete
Yeah.
dig like it was.
Right.
Where it's all utilities coming out. I don't believe that's the case at that intersection,
Okay.
so.
Well, and luckily enough, we just did that street south of Bremer Bank.
Right.
So you can get through there and
Right.
to, Main Street.
And they'll have more information on that with the next, as the.
Project starts.
Project goes, and project coordinator gets things going.
Yeah.
Were there any other suggestions for topics, or do you think those are?
I did have a question on, we're going to, turn over the branding, thoughts to the
Mhm.
chamber at their next meeting on May 22nd.
Yeah.
Our next meeting is tomorrow, isn't it?
The board meeting's the 22nd.
Oh, so we're not going to give that to the whole
Eventually, I think they will.
chamber as
Yeah, and I really, I guess I haven't really paid much attention to it. I thought the council had said we weren't gonna proceed with any new branding or logo.
Right.
Well, the council isn't.
Right, but then, so the chamber can just come up with a new logo for the city?
Yep, that's what we're doing.
I don't
That's-
understand that though. I mean, so if the
And
council
what I'm-
says we don't want a new logo and
The
branding thing,
chamber-
then the chamber can just come up with one and say, here, city, you're gonna use this now?
No, it will go out for vote, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And the chamber's gonna pay for it, 'cause there's enough money in the marketing fund. And they have a company set up to give us some ideas, and I think it was gonna be like $800 and $900 for everything. You know,
I
the
believe it
setup.
was approved up to
No, it's not,
$1,000.
yeah.
Right, yep. And then once, I know, I find it strange too, because it's like, okay, why did the chamber just, you know, take that on when the council said no? But I think it's kinda more towards the chamber aspect of it, of the businesses.
So the chamber's
And they're
gonna
not, I don't think the plan is to change the whole city logo.
So the chamber's gonna get a new
It's
logo?
the chamber logo,
Okay.
yeah, so that's a big difference.
Well, yeah, because the chamber doesn't even include 50% of the businesses in Casson, which gets down to, and now you're down to I mean, will there be a vote at the chamber meeting, do you think?
I believe there will be a vote, but right now, the board is just going to come up with a few ideas and then bring it
present
out to
in
the business
June.
owners that are members.
So, I mean, sounds to me like that's out of our, we're not doing anything, but
Right,
there,
the
but we
city
know
isn't, but
the
the chamber
chambers,
is.
chambers looking at doing their
It's gonna be
logo
more of a
or
logo for
or-
the chamber,
Okay, cool.
yep, and the business owners that are members,
Does the chamber have a logo?
yeah.
Okay.
Yep, right now they do, they just wanna redo it, make it look fresh, something different.
Okay.
As far as Casting Connections, I think those topics are great. I would say if either the city engineer or somebody that knows about the street project is able to be there, if the part of the agenda is gonna be talking about, that traffic flow, getting people down there. Just 'cause otherwise, I think somebody's gonna ask, how will they get down here, and we probably wanna know.
And I don't know, if it might be premature on that, 'cause I
Yeah.
don't know if they know, I mean, right now, they're still surveying and doing all that, and
Yeah.
what steps it's gonna be when they put out the bid.
Yeah.
The contractor meeting is gonna, the pre-construction meeting is gonna determine where they start, when they start, where the access and all that is, and that's not even gonna happen until
Yeah,
a year and a half from now.
okay. So, I mean, if it's premature on that, I mean, we could talk about,
As far as traffic flow,
Right,
we know
sure,
it's gonna be
sure.
closed off
Right,
at some
right,
point for some
timeline.
period of time, and then that's where the
Right.
incentive comes from,
Yeah.
hay for urbans and the retail places that aren't
Right.
getting that traffic flow to tell people
Yeah.
they still can get through, and
Right.
there's some.
I mean, I was just thinking, we could, I mean, now would be a great time to collect information on, if we're talking about activating those 2 lots down there, now would be a great time to get information on what people think would be helpful for if we're gonna activate the space, flip the switch. And that could, anyways, but that'd be another, and that, I mean, that kinda could go, theoretically, could go hand in hand with, could we do anything with our 2 lots that would help bring foot traffic onto Main Street if it's closed down and we've got, less cars going back and forth, but, that'd be one other topic, maybe.
So it's 9:30 at Daniel's, 9:30 Thursday morning, correct?
And so the next item is the business facade improvement grant. That is the last item at the back of your board packet. So Manorwood Association has applied for a business improvement grant, pending, I believe it needs the board approval. And so they're looking at repairing the block walls around the sides of their property and repainting them as well. So the total project is $6,270, and the amount that they would receive from the program would be $2,000.
Oh, this is the backside of the building with all the suites, like where Atypical
Yep.
and.
Manorwood
Okay,
Court.
yep,
Yeah.
Manorwood Court, yeah, okay.
It's, the north and, east,
East and west side.
Yeah.
west,
East.
So we
just east and north, yeah.
So we're doing,
Well, that's something that needs to be done.
Well, yeah, I think
You
if
know,
you read through the criteria of what it takes to qualify and that,
Right.
it kind of fits the bill of exactly what we're doing. And they do have an entrance on that east side too with that little line,
Yep.
they got ripped off this winter with the ice and that, but,
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
I know I go through that backside more than I do the front.
Me
If
too.
there's no parking on the
Yeah,
front.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
No, it'd be.
Yeah, it's used a lot right
Yeah.
now.
You can only go one way out.
right.
Yeah.
You can't turn left and come out on the,
Oh, you mean driving?
yeah.
I say, no, you can go out the front door.
Yeah, you can't drive out the front door.
Yeah.
You could try.
You could try, your insurance is good.
Good.
Yeah, it looks like he's got his estimates. I mean, it sounds like, do we have just kind of what was kind of the story, like, what are they're gonna, obviously make it look nicer, but like, do we know, like, what, just at all, I think it fits the bill, I'm just curious.
Yeah, they're gonna paint the walls black, on the east and north side of the office building. And then they're going to have, the block, you can see the spots there where the block is starting to fall apart.
Right.
FEMA Construction's gonna do the block mortar and grinding, fix that on it, so I think it fits the bill, gonna make it look better. And we can help them do it.
Yep.
Cool. That's great.
Any other questions on that?
I motion approval of the application by Manorwood Association for the Business Facade Improvement Grant of $2,000.
Thanks, Tom. Do I have a second? Yes, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. It's approved.
Okay, and I don't believe I have any other business, unless there's anything you would like to bring up.
Just as far as the activity, you see that, Ron Carlson's got his equipment mobilized in front of Shopko there, so he'll be digging any time for that office building.
Isn't there some activity where Casey's is going into?
Yeah, they applied for the permit for demolition, or we're going to, that's coming soon. They should be starting that soon. I know they got some dumpsters at some of the houses and that, so. And then Home Federal started their project yesterday. You see that's kind of quartered off. They got one lane for the drive up still open. So they'll be working on that now, so. And then SEMCAC, I haven't received an update lately as far as when their completion date is, but they're moving along pretty good. I would say next meeting we should have an update of when they maybe have a opening or a time, so.
If I could throw one thing out, when we met with the owners of Shopko, I think you'll find this piece of information interesting. Ryan Nolander from Ready was at the meeting as well, and he had made the comment that once the Shopko stores close in Rochester, there's gonna be over 500,000 square feet of retail space vacant in Rochester.
Wow.
So as we met with them, the questions came up about how open and receptive the city would be to maybe some different types of uses in there. So I think that's something that may come to this board in the future as well, but that's a lot of square footage in Rochester, and, that's a good sized building. We talked a little bit too, and we're having talks internally within our company that, I think we have 4 communities now that either have old Alco buildings or Shopko buildings that are becoming vacant now, so that's something that we're trying to figure out internally as to, is there a common theme that we can try and make something happen in these communities or not?
And it was a good meeting. I think that they were expecting some pushback from the city as far as what can go in there. And our message was that any activity that's fits the zoning for that area can go in there. They could subdivide it and put in office. They could put in half retail, half something else, and if anything fell outside of whatever it was zoned for, they could go to planning and zoning and apply for a conditional use permit and see if that would, work. So I think they were pleasantly surprised that, they mentioned that a couple times, their real estate agent, they did hire, is it Ryan?
From Brash?
I just saw his picture on the
I know
billboard.
Jay.
Jay, yeah.
Jay from Brash.
He said several times that all of, he had a lot to say.
Yeah. It was kind of an interesting, uncomfortable meeting at times.
It was, because it was like they
had-
were interviewing real estate
Yeah.
agents at the same time.
They had 2 real estate brokers and the ownership, and then us representing the city there without an agreement with any broker. Yeah, it was.
Oh, wow.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
Nice family though. They
Yeah.
flew out from New Jersey just to come have the meeting, so, all 4 of them? 3 of them.
3 and 1 on
Three
the
of
phone.
Three of them, 1 on the phone, yeah.
Nice one.
But they're willing to release it or sell it, so it's for sale or lease.
Mhm.
And thanks for attending too. I'm glad you can
That's
speak
what we're
today.
here for. Yeah. Yeah, it was a little different, wasn't
You
it?
didn't do much speaking, 'cause you couldn't hardly talk that day.
That's a long time ago already.
Yeah, it was.
So this office building being built in front of Shopko, how many suites or whatever is that with the?
Right now, the way I understand it is either the tenant for the whole thing or the anchor tenant's gonna be,
It's.
Fernwood?
Yeah.
There's a counseling center, they've got a little office right next to Domino's.
Yeah,
Their
yeah,
base in
yeah.
Owatonna is where their main stuff is,
Yeah.
but they're gonna take the majority or all of the building that's being built.
Oh, wow.
And then there's
okay.
contingencies for a second building to be built on the property, once that one gets done and he gets things rolling, so.
Okay, cool,
Fernbrook.
Cranbrook.
Fernbrook is the counseling facility, so.
cool,
Yeah, so he's got a tenant ready and it'll be rolling as soon as he can get going.
wow, cool.
So they'll have an empty building partial over by Domino's.
Yeah, that little spot right next to Domino's, so I don't know what their
Yeah.
plan is for.
I know Jerry's looking for somebody.
Is he?
but-
Okay.
Yeah.
We should tell him too that, when he knows when the vacancy's gonna be, to
Oh.
contact, EDA here, cause we can get it on our site for available space for rent.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, somebody will gobble up that little
Small space like
quick.
that, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good spot.
Gee, I wish they'd gobble up those spaces on Main Street.
Not as visible.
Not next-
Seven is very popular and next to Subway and Domino's, yeah. Cool, thanks.
Are there any specs on like what that building, the Shopko building, is capable of having in there? You know, in terms of like, you know, docking and, you know, like how, I don't know, like how tall exactly are those ceilings and is it sprinkled, all that kind of stuff?
I think, I don't know that we have those specs, but I think we can get those. I do think that the owners, are willing to do most anything to make something happen in there. You know, and I know we're in a public meeting, but when you look at buying a building, you know, of that nature, you're looking at the tenant.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time that building was purchased, you know, I don't think there's any rumor on the street or anything that Shopko would be closing.
Right.
So I think there's, they have quite an investment in there, and I think they're more than willing to do what's needed to have something happen. That's a good idea, and we can try and see if we can get something.
I bet Jay in his listing has
Yeah, he should.
what's necessary, and we
Yeah.
can even see if we could link that to our EDA page for
Right.
property, but it's got a loading dock, it could be set
Yeah.
up for industrial, it could be manufacturing.
Right. Are people still using location one? I mean, I don't know if we're using that, but.
They are using Lois.
Yeah, Lois,
On
yeah.
Indeed. To some success, some not
Okay.
success. I think Jay is probably gonna be your best
Yeah.
prospect there to make something
Yep.
happen, because I do think that the family will keep his feet to the fire to
Absolutely.
get something to happen.
Do we have a sense of about how much that building would cost?
I think to build new, I think the figure was like 1.7 million or something that got thrown out. So there's.
He's got a listing, I guess I haven't looked it up yet to see if he's got a selling price, but
Yeah.
they're willing to sell that, and so that should be, if he's got it listed, it should be out there,
Okay.
what they're selling it for. But yeah, replacement's 1.7, somewhere in there, I suppose with land.
Right.
It's 36,000 square feet roughly,
Yeah.
so. Plenty of space for your new business, Tom.
Yeah.
That's right. It's gonna be mass producing billboards of you.
Get off that.
Wouldn't sell over there, yeah.
Okay, on to the next item of business, items for
Oh.
the June EDA meeting.
Funny.
I've got two things.
Okay.
Like, if we could bring back that policy that we've had published this first time.
Okay.
So that the public's had a chance to look at it, we've had a chance to look at it, we can bring it back and discuss the subsidy policy, the business subsidy policy. Then if we can get an updated, from Nancy, updated financials through, the first
Mhm.
third of the year, and then we can probably start some loose discussions on budgeting. It'll probably be July more when we really have to start putting the fire down, but at least if we see what the budget was and what we're at this year, year to date, any anticipated expenses coming up, then we can start to keep that idea around too, so we have it done early. We'd be the first committee with our budget in the hands. It's the easiest budget there is, but. And I guess things to think about there too, when we look at financials, you know, we started this facade improvement program for 2019. We wanted to see how it would go. We funded it with, I think, $20,000.
Yep.
Heard a couple more people talking about applications, which they should be materializing here in the next month or two if they're gonna do it.
Okay.
The thought was to see how it goes, and if there's any other types of incentives that people would be looking for. So if you're talking to people, how can we help? You know, businesses, if they're talking about frustration about something, how can we help? I mean, we're limited, but how can we help with what we do have? So we don't just have money sitting,
Yep.
dead for several years if it's better spent somewhere else. Is that, how can we help should be our question, and just listen. So if we could bring that back.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll wanna, if Manorwood is able to finish up their project back there, we'll want after pictures. I think that was part of our program requirement.
Yep.
Yep.
That's listed on the
It's one of the
application.
conditions. Yep.
Yep. And I suppose Mike, Nicholas and I will try to meet and talk about activation, space activation, so we'll see if we'll shoot to have something here for our next meeting.
We need pictures of the property after the work and proof of payment. But I get the money.
Anything else anybody has?
Well, I guess do we know if, by June, we would have, any updates on the, small cities application?
We're supposed to have an update at our second meeting in May, which will be 2 weeks from Wednesday. So the 22nd, and then I believe there's gonna be a possible public hearing in June. So it'll be after the EDA meeting. So I'll get some kind of an update of where we're at the EDA meeting in June. I know they're lining up for a public hearing for actually accepting the money if we get it.
Okay.
Sounds very hopeful.
Cool, so we're thinking that we would know if we need that meeting on May 22nd.
Correct.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're hoping.
Yeah.
Anything else? Nicholas, anything?
Nope.
Well, welcome again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, and, we hope you're here a long time.
I do too.
And thanks for, anything else you have to?
Just a couple quick things. Thank you for your continued support. I know, there has been turnover, Tom. But,
Your turn, Tom.
He's
Yeah.
still here.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
Not with, yeah.
On the wrong side of the table with us. so
Right.
That's
Other side of the
okay.
table.
I know.
Right.
And
Got a good.
Yeah, I think Nicholas brings a great set of skills to the community, and I think it'll be great things. And, to do a shameless plug, we have our annual meeting on the 16th at the Round Barn Event Center just south of Red Wing. And so if you can fit that into your calendar, that would be great. It's usually a pretty energetic meeting. You hopefully come away with some connections and some input, and we do golf afterwards.
Yeah, no.
I can send out, email reminders for that.
Perfect.
Otherwise, that's all I have.
That's all I
Thank you.
got. Thanks for coming.
You
Appreciate it.
bet.
Thanks for attending the meeting with
You
the
bet.
Shopko building owners too, so.
Yeah.
All right, nothing else, entertain, motion for
The
adjournment?
common apartments,
Whoa.
that we have all of this information in here, are we discussing that, or?
Sorry, that was just, because it was in my coordinator report, but there's not too much to discuss. I just wanted to make sure it was in there so you were aware
I
of.
thought,
They did a presentation to council at the last meeting, just saying, hey,
Okay.
wanna make you aware of it, here's what we're looking to do. They didn't ask for anything, they just said, got a
Right.
purchase agreement on the property. They're exploring what the cleanup's gonna be, what their costs are gonna be to get the property ready to build. They would build half the project the first year, and they have a timeline in there, what their pretty aggressive goal is.
Having lived there for many years, where's the floodplain in all of this?
That's what they're running into, so they're working with the county on that.
Cause I know the city got fined for cutting trees down there a few years back, because that's supposed to catch debris from moving on down.
Yeah.
And they went in and cut it down without DNR approval, and, that's a touchy.
Yeah,
You know,
they're
that
working with
can really
FEMA and the
flood.
county on the floodplain.
My kids, did tubing there in the spring, literally.
Wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
They say, I was just wondering who, so, you know, they say like local business owners, high school coaches, background in
Yeah, I
real estate.
kinda
Who
wondered
are-
about that
like,
too.
who are they?
They own the storage units, they bought them from.
Like that
Legacy
legacy.
storage.
Right, legacy storage, okay,
Yeah.
that's the same.
They brought it from Malika?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
okay.
That's who I write my check to, or that's who takes money out of my account every month,
Ah.
Legacy. Used to be Malika, so.
So, yeah, when they say their team, do they mean their business,
I guess so.
or their partnership, is that?
The ownership group consists of different owners, high school coaches, background in real estate.
Okay,
One of them's a volleyball coach here in town, one's a football, two of them are football coaches at John Marshall, but they also own real estate outside of that.
oh, that may be some that have come to talk to us at the old school too.
They may have, yeah, they may have,
Yeah.
yep.
So Ben Colley gave that presentation that I included in the packet. He's kind of the lead on this project, and
Who is?
Ben Call.
Ian Call, okay.
And I'll be able to hopefully bring more information on this development at the next meeting.
Okay. I just noticed a project in Pine Island on Main Street, which is a lovely building, is 90% empty,
And that's a different group.
but it's
Yep.
a similar town.
Anything else?
Motion adjourned.
Thank you, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned, thank you.
Who, seconded that adjournment?
Liza.
It was a quick one.
Hey, you paid attention to detail.
Yeah,
You got that.
yeah.